woman is accusing Sean Diddy Combs of and her when she was 16 years old in 2000.
In the meantime, let's go back to New York City. Want to get some updates on the case that is unfolding there regarding Sean Diddy Combs.
Oh my God. Everyone, you won't believe the absolutely shocking bombshell that's just dropped in the never-ending drama surrounding Sean Diddy Combs. We're talking about something that sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. The mysterious and sudden vanishing of his mother, Janice Combs. Can you even imagine what could make a mother, who's been her son's fiercest defender, disappear into thin air? This story is absolutely dripping with scandal, secrets, and whispers that could turn everything we thought we knew completely upside down. Trust me, darlings, you'll want to buckle up because we're about to take the wildest ride into a family crisis that's as fascinating as it is mysterious. The bombshell news broke earlier this week that stopped everyone in their tracks. Janice Combs, the matriarch of the Combs dynasty, has fled the country. Yes, you heard that correctly. The very woman who stood like an unshakable pillar by Diddy's side throughout his tumultuous career and recent legal troubles has seemingly evaporated into thin air. The way she left wasn't just abrupt, it was calculated, secretive, leaving even her closest confidants completely baffled and searching for answers. And let me tell you something, this isn't your typical case of someone taking an extended vacation to escape the spotlight. No, darlings, this feels deliberate, calculated, almost as if she's running from something or someone. Now, let's rewind a bit. For weeks, Janice had been Diddy's most passionate defender, releasing heartfelt statements painting herself as a devastated mother who believed wholeheartedly in her son's innocence. She even went as far as calling the allegations against him a public lynching and pleaded with everyone not to judge him before hearing his side. She seemed ready to fight tooth and nail for her son. So why would she suddenly vanish? That's the million-dollar question, and the answers might be buried deep in her past.
You know, that kind of environment growing up in is going to have an impact on a child growing up. Now, it doesn't make excuses for what people do in adulthood, and the form that can take really depends on a lot of different things, including things such as what are the family values? Are the family values about, you know, being open and honest about things, or if there's trauma in a family, do families deal with it, or how is that child raised?
Now, hold on to your seats because this is where things get juicy. There have been whispers, and I mean scandalous whispers, about her connection to Diddy's alleged misconduct. For years, rumors have been swirling about these wild parties she hosted at their family home in Mount Vernon when Diddy was just a young boy. And let me tell you, these weren't your typical neighborhood get-togethers. According to childhood friends who've recently spoken out in shocking documentaries, these gatherings were anything but ordinary. Tim Patterson, one of Diddy's longtime friends, described those nights in the most disturbing terms: chaotic and deeply unsettling. He revealed that it wasn't unusual to stumble into rooms filled with activities that no child should ever witness. Patterson even suggested that being exposed to such an environment at such a tender age might have planted the seeds for the very behaviors Diddy is now accused of.
According to the Rolling Stone, the doc features an alleged childhood friend of Puff's, hip-hop producer Tim Dog Patterson. He alleged that Janice, Diddy's mom, would often throw parties at Diddy's childhood home. He says that during the parties, it wasn't uncommon to walk into rooms where adults was having that was just their normal.
But here's where the plot thickens in the most intriguing way possible. Janice has always been portrayed as this fiercely protective mother, someone who moved heaven and earth to give her son a better life. She sent him to prestigious private schools, kept him dressed in the finest clothes, and even moved the family to a more upscale neighborhood after the heartbreaking loss of Diddy's father. But here's what everyone's whispering about. How does this image of a devoted mother align with those wild parties? Could it be that she was desperately trying to provide for her son in the only way she knew how, even if it meant turning a blind eye to the chaos swirling around them? Or, and this is what's keeping everyone up at night, was she more deeply involved in that lifestyle than anyone ever dared to imagine?
Talking about the parties, Tim says, verbatim, that's what we were privy to. This was what we were fed. Was it desensitizing us? I'm sure it was. Were we aware of it? No, that was just Saturday night. In the doc, per Rolling Stone, this type of childhood is alleged to be why Tim, the longtime friend of Diddy's, Puff believes believes that Puff found himself in the position he is in now.
And now let's talk about timing, because this is where things get absolutely mind-blowing. Just as the heat on Diddy's legal battles started reaching fever pitch, with more accusers stepping forward and those devastating documentaries hitting the airwaves, Janice vanished. Coincidence? Oh, honey, I think not. Industry insiders are already buzzing with speculation that her sudden departure might be a calculated move to avoid being dragged into the legal spotlight. After all, if those childhood parties were as wild as people claim, who's to say she wouldn't be called to testify? And what secrets would spill out if she were put under oath? But wait, it gets even more scandalous. According to some very well-placed sources, Janice didn't just slip away quietly. She reportedly took a substantial amount of money with her. Money that Diddy desperately needs right now for his mounting legal expenses. If this is true, and my sources are rarely wrong, it raises even more eyebrows about her motives. Was she fleeing out of sheer fear, or was she cleverly cutting ties and securing her own future while she still could? Either way, her actions have left a gaping hole in Diddy's support system at precisely the moment he needs it most.
I think another question that we just can't ignore is the fact is a role of power. Because one question is, how does somebody become the way they are? And then another question is, how are they allowed to stay the way that they are? And I think that also speaks to this kind of, lack of accountability.
And oh my goodness, the effect her departure has had on the Combs family is absolutely heartbreaking. Diddy's children, who've already been thrust into this media circus because of their father's legal troubles, are now dealing with the devastating blow of their grandmother's abandonment. Janice wasn't just any grandmother, she was their rock. Always there at red carpet events and family gatherings. Her sudden disappearance has left them absolutely reeling, with one insider describing the family dynamic as completely shattered. It's impossible not to wonder how this betrayal will shape their view of both their father and their grandmother moving forward.
Everyone keeps saying to me, like, how did you keep, why did you keep going? Why were you there? I'm like, it literally is around me. If I don't stay at home, this is the atmosphere I'm in. Like, I have no choice.
Now here's where this saga takes an even more dramatic turn. The FBI, yes, you heard that right, is reportedly keeping an extremely close watch on Janice's disappearance. While she hasn't been charged with any crimes yet, her connection to Diddy's case could make her a person of significant interest. Some insiders are whispering that it's only a matter of time before her name appears on a wanted list, especially if it turns out she's harboring crucial information about the investigation. For now, her whereabouts remain a complete mystery. Some say she's hiding somewhere in Europe, while others swear she's basking in the Caribbean sun. Wherever she is, she's managed to completely vanish from the grid. No small feat in today's hyper-connected world. The implications of her escape are absolutely staggering. For starters, it paints a troubling picture of a woman who might not be as innocent as she's tried to appear. While she's publicly defended Diddy with the passion of a devoted mother, her actions tell a completely different story, one of self-preservation and perhaps guilt. Could it be that she knows far more than she's letting on? And if so, what devastating impact could this have on Diddy's case? Her absence could make it nearly impossible for his legal team to argue that he's merely a victim of circumstance when one of his strongest defenders has seemingly turned her back on him. And then there's the matter of legacy. Janice has always been this powerful symbol of resilience in the Combs family, a single mother who raised a mogul against impossible odds. But her sudden disappearance threatens to destroy that carefully crafted image, casting dark shadows over everything she's worked so hard to build. It's a stark reminder that even the most meticulously constructed facades can crumble under pressure. As this incredible story continues to unfold, one thing is crystal clear. Janice's escape has added yet another layer of complexity to an already chaotic situation. Whether she's running from the law, the relentless media, or her own conscience, her actions have left a trail of questions that may never be fully answered. And while Diddy prepares for the fight of his life, he now has to do it without the woman who's been his rock for over 5 decades. The ripple effects of her disappearance are just beginning to be felt, and the consequences could be more far-reaching than anyone could have imagined.
Actually thought that he was above the law, so I can only think that he was sloppy in the way that he did these crimes, that there's probably a trail of evidence, not only involving him, but everybody in his circle that he would, delegate these responsibilities to. And those people are when they're...
Now, darlings, let's dive into Diddy's mounting legal troubles because they're absolutely staggering. To say they're piling up would be the understatement of the century. The charges he's facing aren't just serious, they're becoming more damning with each passing day. From shocking allegations of coercion to accusations of orchestrating elaborate gatherings with questionable participants, the list seems endless. And that's just on the criminal side. On the civil front, lawsuits are raining down like a hurricane, with attorney Tony Busby reportedly representing, are you sitting down? 120 accusers. Yes, you heard that correctly. 120. That number alone is enough to make your head spin. And while Diddy's legal team has been working around the clock to deny these claims and paint him as a victim of exaggerated accusations, the sheer volume of cases is impossible to ignore.
I feel like we're almost becoming numb to the lawsuit after the lawsuit after the lawsuit. And do all of the allegations against Combs so far that we've seen make the claims here, these new claims, do you think it makes it more or less true?
So how does Janice's sudden vanishing act fit into this explosive situation? Well, it's not just an emotional blow to Diddy's support system, it's an absolute logistical nightmare. Let's not forget that Janice was one of his most passionate defenders. Her public statements, where she emotionally described the allegations as a public lynching, were the cornerstone of his defense strategy. She was the family's moral compass, the one person who could vouch for Diddy's character and upbringing. But now, with her mysterious disappearance, it feels like even his closest allies are abandoning ship. And while no one is saying it outright, the whispers are growing louder by the day. Could Janice's disappearance signal that she knows something the rest of us don't? Is there a shocking piece of this puzzle that hasn't been revealed yet?
And because the 8 people in the videos, the 8 celebrities in the videos were allegedly victims of crimes, we know who they are, but we will not be naming them, famous or not.
The financial situation? It's absolutely dire. According to insiders close to the situation, Diddy is facing a devastating cash flow crisis that could jeopardize his ability to mount a solid defense. Let's be real. Legal battles of this magnitude aren't cheap, and the high-profile nature of his case means he needs the absolute best lawyers money can buy. But with Janice allegedly taking a significant portion of his remaining funds when she fled, his financial resources are stretched thinner than ever. And let's not forget about those settlements. While Diddy's team insists that settling certain lawsuits doesn't mean he's admitting guilt, the payouts have reportedly been astronomical. Each settlement chips away at his fortune, leaving less and less for his defense. And if you think the financial strain is just about legal fees, think again. Diddy's business empire, once the crown jewel of his success, is showing severe fractures. From his prestigious music label to his high-end fashion ventures and spirits brand, everything is under intense scrutiny. Sponsors are rapidly pulling away, partnerships are dissolving like sugar in hot tea, and public perception is shifting dramatically. Even some of his most loyal collaborators are reportedly distancing themselves, unwilling to be associated with the growing controversy. It's a devastating domino effect, and the fall of one piece threatens to bring down the entire structure.
Time frame is important because this happened in hotels, in places that have surveillance, that there's records that could be consistent with his testimony about when he alleges that these parties took place. He probably has his own information about who attended the events. When you're somebody like Sean Combs and you're such a celebrity and you're engaged in this type of behavior, people around you are memorializing it on their own.
The family dynamic? It's absolutely heartbreaking. Janice's disappearance has left an emotional void that no one seems capable of filling. Diddy's children, already struggling with the media circus surrounding their father, now have to process the added trauma of their grandmother's absence. Let's remember, Janice wasn't just any grandmother. She was the glue that held this family together. The constant presence at school events, red carpet appearances, and cherished family vacations. Her sudden departure feels like the ultimate betrayal, and it's left the family in pieces. One insider described the atmosphere in the Combs household as unbearably tense and fractured, with everyone walking on eggshells, terrified of what shocking revelation might come next.
And he is very, very dominant. Like, he wants to control the situation. He wants to control his inner circle. He wants to make everyone have a good time and enjoy his parties. And so, you know, it is scary because you think, you know, this person or possibly his social network or the people he's around could make or break your career.
The emotional toll on Diddy himself is absolutely devastating. According to sources close to the music mogul, he's been grappling with overwhelming feelings of betrayal and confusion, constantly questioning why his mother would abandon him at such a critical moment. Some insiders speculate that her actions have left him questioning everything he thought he knew about his own upbringing and the people he trusted most. It's a crushing blow, and it couldn't have come at a worse time. The most fascinating, or troubling, depending on how you look at it, aspect is how public opinion is playing into all of this. Diddy has always been a master at controlling his narrative, using his charisma and influence to shape how the world sees him. But this time, the narrative seems to be slipping through his fingers like sand. Social media is absolutely exploding with theories and speculation, with hashtags like Diddy Downfall and Combs Chaos trending almost daily. While some loyal fans are still rallying behind him, insisting he's the victim of a smear campaign, others are far less forgiving, pointing to the mounting evidence and demanding to know how much more needs to come out before people start believing the accusations. The documentary situation is absolutely explosive. These exposés have been hitting streaming platforms like wildfire, from Peacock's riveting Diddy, the Making of a Bad Boy, to Discovery's shocking The Fall of Diddy. Each one paints an increasingly troubling picture of a man whose empire was built on a foundation of secrets and scandal. Every documentary seems to bring forth new revelations, new witnesses stepping out of the shadows, and new reasons to question everything about Diddy's legacy. While his legal team has desperately tried to dismiss these films as one-sided and sensationalized, they can't deny the massive impact they're having on public perception. After all, in today's world, perception is everything, and right now, the reality looks absolutely devastating.
You know, if you say the wrong thing or you complain or you know, I don't know, there's an element where you're just, I guess manipulated in a way to make you feel like, oh, you have to please everyone around you. You can't say anything wrong. You don't want to say a bad thing. Or, you know, when they're constantly asking, would you like to do and you're like, well, I don't do and they're like, well, why don't you do?
One of the most shocking aspects of these documentaries is how they connect Diddy's past to his present in the most disturbing ways. Childhood friends like Tim Patterson have come forward with stories that suggest the seeds of his current troubles were planted long, long ago. Patterson's detailed accounts of those wild gatherings at Janice's house, where absolutely anything seemed possible, have added explosive fuel to the fire. While Diddy has always been open about his challenging upbringing and the obstacles he faced, these new revelations cast his past in an entirely different and much darker light. It's one thing to overcome adversity, but it's something entirely different to perpetuate the very behaviors that once caused such deep pain. Even more chilling are the emotional testimonials from former employees, ex-partners, and industry insiders. These aren't just random people coming out of the woodwork. These are individuals who were once part of Diddy's most intimate inner circle. Their stories paint a devastating picture of a man who wielded his power and influence to get whatever he wanted, often at the expense of others. Whether it's former girlfriends recounting troubling encounters or employees describing a toxic work environment, the narrative remains frighteningly consistent. Diddy was a man obsessed with control, and when that control was challenged, things turned incredibly ugly. The role of Janice in all of this becomes more intriguing by the day. While she's been portrayed as a loving but flawed mother, her disappearance raises absolutely haunting questions about how much she really knew. Was she aware of the allegations against her son before they exploded into the public eye? Did she play a role in enabling some of his behavior, either directly or by turning a blind eye? And if so, does her sudden departure signify overwhelming guilt or simply a desperate attempt to protect herself? These are questions that might forever remain unanswered, but they add yet another layer of complexity to this already twisted story. As the trial date approaches, the stakes for Diddy couldn't possibly be higher. This isn't just about clearing his name anymore. It's about salvaging whatever remains of his legacy. But with each new revelation, each new lawsuit, and now the added drama of his mother's disappearance, it's becoming increasingly difficult to see a path forward. His empire, once a shining symbol of triumph and resilience, now feels like a house of cards teetering on the edge of collapse. And yet, despite everything, there's still this lingering sense of uncertainty hanging in the air. Will Diddy somehow manage to turn this all around? Or is this truly the beginning of the end for one of hip-hop's most iconic figures? Will Janice suddenly resurface and shed light on her mysterious actions? Or will her disappearance remain one of the great unsolved mysteries of this saga? And perhaps most importantly, as the dust continues to settle, or rather, as the storm continues to rage, one thing remains crystal clear. This story is far from over. In fact, it feels like we're only beginning to scratch the surface of what could be the biggest scandal in entertainment history. So stay tuned, because if there's one thing we've learned about the Combs family, it's that life for them is anything but predictable. And as this drama continues to unfold, one can't help but wonder what earth-shattering revelation will come next. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more celebrity gossip and intriguing stories. Until next time, stay curious.